Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. My dear respected brothers and sisters, community members, leaders, scholars, board members, presidents, chairmen, and every single person in this beautiful room, I greet you with the best greeting on earth, the greeting of peace, the greeting of our religion, our faith. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. It is absolutely my pleasure to see you all today, to hug my brothers and shake their hands, to give my salam to my sisters and my aunties, and my young children and my young community members. This annual, I would call it reunion or wedding or celebration that we get together to see each other and talk about what can we do for our future generations. That is what is Shura about. From San Diego in the south all the way to Santa Clarita in the north, from Beaumont and Coachella in the east all the way to Ventura in the west, from the oldest masajid in Southern California, Bilal Islamic Center of Southern California, Islamic Institute for Orange County and Islamic Society for Orange County, all the way to the newest members of our community, Rahma Center and Chino Valley Islamic Center. I greet you. This is Southern California, the home of amazing projects, amazing institutions, the home of IOK and Bayan Islamic University, the birthplace of Islah LA, the home of CARE LA, the strongest chapter of CARE in the nation, and the home and the birthplace of MPAC, Muslim Public Affairs Council. The place where we have amazing Islamic schools like New Horizon, Minaret Academy, Huda, and all the others. This is Southern California. This is Southern California, my dear respected brothers and sisters. That's why I will never move out of Southern California. Too bad for those who moved back to Dallas and Houston. Come back. You're not going to see something like Southern California. When people ask me, why do you stay in Southern California? The traffic is bad. The prices are so high. What are you doing there? I say, I love Southern California. This is home. This is back home nowadays for me and my children. And this is our future home, thanks to MMCC. This is home, not because of the beaches and not because of the snow on the mountains, and not because the beautiful weather, but because, in my opinion, it has the most beautiful Islamic community in the nation and maybe in the world. Yes, Texas might have bigger masajid than ours, but we have the most vibrant, advanced Islamic centers, organizations, schools, and I'm very proud to say I am part of this community. Over 125 masjid in Southern California, over 50 Islamic organizations in Southern California, over 700,000 Muslims walk on the streets of counties of San Diego, Orange, Los Angeles, Ventura. All these is my community and my family. And when we have such a large group of people who belong to the same faith, they cannot be disunited. They cannot be fragmented. They cannot be working on their own, each one on its own. We have to have a voice. We have to have a glue. We have to have a voice that represents the Muslims in a balanced, fair, honest way. Whether they're rich or poor, Arabs, Daisy, African American, Latinos. Whether they pray in the masjid every day or only show up on Eid. Whether they're Democrats or Republicans, whether they're Shia or Sunni. We need a voice that speaks on our behalf. So when we go stand on Monday at Sacramento, at the Muslims' Day at the Capitol, organized by CARE, we stand up and say, I represent 700,000 Muslims in Southern California and 1 million Muslims in the whole state of California. That voice is the Shura Council. We need an umbrella that puts us all under one shade so we can talk to each other, we can communicate with each other, we can exchange experiences and exchange talents and skills. And that is the Shura Council, the umbrella. You know, many places I go and I give the example that each one of our masjids is like a ship. Nuh's ship, Noah's Ark. Because we live in a society that acts like a flood of immorality, a flood of irreligiosity. We need the ship of safety that will sail us and our families to the shores of safety. We have over 125 ships or arcs in Southern California. That's a fleet. That fleet needs a flagship. And what's the flagship? What's the flagship? Shura Council. I don't claim that I know more than anybody else, and I don't claim that I'm the boss of this community, but we are the glue that will put us together so we can talk and learn and understand from each other. And that is what the Shura Council is. Back in 1995, amazing individuals got together. I call them the founding fathers. And they put their hands and their minds and their hearts together so they can establish the Islamic Shura Council of Southern California. Almost 30 years later, we are here sitting down together. So we make sure that our organization goes to the next level. That the Shura Council will go to the next level. That the Shura Council will do its job to serve my children and their children and your children and their children for many generations to come, insha'Allah. That is why we are here. And in order for us to present and create a strong Shura Council, and in order for us to make sure that it stays for many generations to come, we need to work together. Because the Shura Council is a reflection of us. If we are strong, the Shura Council will be strong. If we are united, the Shura Council will be strong. If we are organized, the Shura Council will be strong. I say that all the time, and I will never stop saying that. So what do we need to do? We need to work together, my dear brothers and sisters. We need to put our hands together and exchange experiences. Shura Council is not in any competition with any of your organizations. When CARE does an amazing fundraising event and they gather, $1 million? We are happy. We celebrate. When MPAC secure Mahdi Hassan as a keynote speaker for their convention, we're happy. We celebrate. When IOK graduates so many hafs of the Quran, we are happy, we celebrate. When Islamic Center of Hawthorne is expanding and buying the property next door, we are happy and we celebrate. Our relationship is not a competition, it is a completing each other relationship. As we say in Arabic, takamul wa laysa tafadul. We complete each other, we do not compete with each other. And that's what the Shura Council is. Never ever think that we are in a competition. When we book this hotel, 5 organizations or 4 organizations throughout the year book it together. Imagine the buying power when we all come together and say, we want this hotel 5 or 6 events throughout the year. It will be much better. It will be much stronger. So in order for the Shura Council to be strong and move on to the next level and become a true federation of the Islamic organizations, and become a strong federation, so when we sit down with a representative from the White House, as we do all the time, and representative from the Homeland Security and Department of Justice, we can say clearly, this is what our community wants. This is what our community does not want. And this is what the Shura Council is doing on your behalf. So the question that I always ask in fundraising, why are you here tonight? But tonight I'll ask a different question. I'll say, why not? You know, it's very hard to collect funds for organizations like the Shura, by the way. It's much easier to collect funds for earthquakes, floods, war zones. I mean, during the earthquake in Turkey and Syria, we collected millions and millions of dollars. Because we're good people. Because we're generous people. Because we care about others. When we want to build a masjid, we can build it in no time. Why? Because we are good people. We are generous people. We like to give. And we care about our faith. But when it comes to the Shura Council, I always ask ourselves the question, why? Why is it so difficult? Why is it hard to collect money for an organization like the Shura Council? So maybe because we don't know the value of the Shura Council. I hope the video that you heard earlier by the testimonial of these great leaders will tell you there is a huge value that you and your children and grandchildren will benefit from when the Shura Council is strong. So give. Another reason why maybe we do not strongly give to the Shura Council is maybe because we don't know what it does. I have a friend in the audience. For the past 10 years, every year he asks me, what does the Shura do? My goodness, Shazad. I'm sorry, did I mention your name out loud? The Shura Council is doing so much for you. There is a gentleman here, the chairman of the Islamic Center of Irvine. His name is Umar. Umar is a young gentleman who's sitting here as the chairman of one of the largest Islamic centers in the country. He's a graduate of a program that the Shura Council did to prepare leaders for our organization. A program that was inspired and made by a young person who was on the board of the Shura Council, Arbaz. It's called Young Inspirers, where people will go for 6 months into excessive training so they can know how to become leaders. And now he's the leader of the organization. But he's leading in a very powerful, smart, wise way because he learned through the Shura Council. When the Shura Council facilitate a training for the boards and the members of the leadership of the masajid, we get less lawsuits against us as a masjid. We get less problems and less trouble. That's what the Shura does to you. When there is a fight, and it happens in a masjid between two groups of people, in the past we used to hear about ugly, vicious lawsuits where thousands and millions of dollars are wasted. We haven't heard that lately. Why? Because the Shura Council tries its best to go and mediate and sit down with the two groups and say, listen, this is your masjid. Let's work it out as adults, as professionals. And it worked, alhamdulillah, and many times. Sometimes we leave as the bad guys, but most of the times it works beautifully. The Shura Council is doing a lot of things for you. In the coming month of October, for those who will be traveling international flights from LAX, for the first time ever, there will be a prayer room for Muslims in the LAX airport. And this is because one individual had the vision and the persistence to do it. His name is Salam al-Haliri, also sitting down here. But because the Shura Council backed him, and our names and organizations, finally, it's going to become a reality, inshallah. So next time you go to Tom Bradley Airport Terminal, look for that and use it. And keep it nice and clean so they know that there is a reason for us to do it. So there are so many benefits for the Shura Council, and that's why we support it. It's not a catastrophe. It's not a disaster. It's not a sad situation. It's sadly that we only get united and get together when Trump got elected, when there was a war and he put this Muslim bans law, when so many negative things happen, that's when we're united. Or when there's an earthquake or a war or a flood, that's when we're united. I think it's about time we get united in a pleasant environment like tonight. And that's what we want to do, brothers and sisters. Another reason why it's easier to get donations to a masjid, because there is a hadith where the Prophet ﷺ said, whoever built a masjid, Allah will build a palace for them in Jannah, right? There is no hadith that says if you build the Shura Council, there will be a palace for you in Jannah. Right? There is no hadith that says the one who takes care of the Shura Council will be with the Prophet like this in Jannah. There is no hadith like that. But there is a verse in the Quran that says what? وَاعْتَصِمُوا. Be united. Be together. And the best way to show that and express the belief in unity is by looking at your table in front of you. And there is a small envelope. Start filling it out. Write it down and give it to the volunteers who will be going around within the next few minutes. And show your love and support to an organization like the Shura Council. We have a very humble goal tonight, $120,000. Very simple compared to any masjid fundraiser. So, my dear brothers and sisters, let's put our hands together. Make dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that Allah will bless our organization and bless our community and bless our ummah. And let us open our hearts and our minds and our pockets and our checkbooks and our phones so we can scan the QR code and give donations, and let us reach the goal tonight, insha'Allah. Bismillah.